Hello, everyone, and welcome to, well, not an episode of the Snapshot podcast. I'm all alone. Courtney's not here, and we've been gone for almost the entire month. Reason being, we're just busy. Busy schedules. Courtney's been really busy with some exciting stuff that I'm sure she'll talk about next time out, and I've been busy myself, been doing a few bits and bobs, and we've just not had a chance to sit down and meet up and record an episode of the podcast. But I didn't want to just go the entire month AWOL, AFK, just disappearing. So I thought that I would come on here today and just do a little mini episode 3.5, I think. And I was going to do a little story for you all. I want to tell you all the story. Courtney's heard this story before, but it happened in between these two podcasts. I want to tell you all the story of how I travelled back in time the other week to the year 2003. Let me set the scene for you, okay? I'm sat at home one Saturday morning and I get a phone call from a friend, my friend Tom. And he says, "Do you want to go to the cinema tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I haven't got much on. I mean, I'm going to miss Strictly Come Dancing, which is criminal, but I can watch that on iPlayer." I was like, "Yeah, let's go to the cinema." So he says, "Well, what should we go watch?" And I said, "Well, Widows is on, that's meant to be good. Bohemian Rhapsody, I've already seen it, but I wouldn't mind seeing it again. It's fucking brilliant." And then, also, for one night only, there was a documentary about Pep Guardiola's Barcelona side. Now, I'm a Manchester City fan, I love Pep Guardiola, and I just love football in general. And I was really interested in seeing a Pep Guardiola documentary about his Barcelona team, you know, peak Messi, peak Henry, peak Xavi Iniesta, I wanted to see it. Tom, on the other hand, is a United fan. He was not infused, shall we say, so he didn't want to go. Now, I just want you to picture in your minds the calibre of some of the films that I said I wanted to go and see. Widows, Bohemian Rhapsody, what's the other one called? Bad Times at the El Royale, I think, with Chris Hemsworth. Good films. Tom's response: Johnny English 3. I didn't really want to see Johnny English 3. Or let me give it its actual title. Johnny English Strikes Again. I didn't want to see it. But Tom did. And so we went. Now, not a lot of cinemas were showing Johnny English Strikes Again. Or at least they weren't showing it throughout the day. The cinema we wanted to go to, which was the Printworks in Manchester Piccadilly, in the town centre, the city centre, they were showing it a little too early. Tom had work, he couldn't go. And I was like, "Oh, what a shame, we could just watch Pep Guardiola instead." No. Tom was having none of that. So he checks around all the other cinemas in Manchester. Now we want to go ideally to a View cinema because it's good value. It's $4.99 mostly. The film I saw on Saturday was not $4.99 and I was a little upset, but it's fine. Anyway, why is Pokemon more expensive? Anyway, we went and looked around for different cinemas. So anyway, the View in the Lowry in Salford, they were showing Johnny English at, I think, 7:15 was when it was scheduled for. So we agreed to go see Johnny English 3, Johnny English Strikes Again, at the Lowry in Salford for 7:15. I get a phone call from Tom at 6:30 and he says, "Oh, I've just woken up. I'm on my way now." That's how he speaks, by the way. "I've just woken up. I'm on my way now." I'm like, "Oh, movie starts in 45 minutes. You've got to get to mine and then to Salford, and then we've got to buy the tickets. We've got to buy the snacks." I didn't think we were going to make it. We didn't make it. So anyway, we get to the Lowry in Salford, and the movie's already begun about 20 minutes ago. Now Tom says, "Well, it's probably still the adverts. We can probably still make it in." But the queue was massive, and I mean the queue was massive. So Tom asks the woman who works there, he says, "Is there still time for us to get tickets to see Johnny English Strikes Again?" And she says, "It's sold out." Sold out, friends. Johnny English 3 was sold out on a Saturday night. I don't understand. I said, "Well, you know, Pep's not started yet." He didn't want to see Pep. Tom was adamant he didn't want to see Pep. So we start looking around again. Is there anywhere else showing Johnny English 3? I'm hoping no. We find somewhere. A little cinema That's not so in England, as far as I'm aware. The big sort of cinema, brands, cinema sort of, companies. There's View, there's Odeon, and there's Cineworld. They're the sort of main three. Tom informs me of a place called Showcase Cinemas, in a little place called Gorton in Manchester. I've not really been to Gorton often. I try not to. But apparently today we were going to go because that's where Johnny English 3 is being shown. So he hopped back in his car. He paid for parking for us to get in and realise we need to leave again. But anyway, we get in his car. And we're driving along and there's still traffic and, but it's looking like we're going to make it, to my despair. All this effort for Johnny English 3. So anyway, we get there and on first glance I can see that this cinema is... It's not in 2018. It's barely in the 2010s. It is placed firmly in the year 2003. This is the cinema that you remember going to when you were growing up. All right, this isn't a cinema that is a big corporate, brand and franchise like you might get with View or with Odeon or maybe even Cineworld. This is a cinema. This is a cinema that feels like an independent cinema. It feels like nothing I've experienced for close to 15 years. Like, you can tell just from the outside, the font that Showcase was written in feels like it was from the early 2000s. And then we park up and we walk in and I am just taken back to the early millennium. The carpet is this weird amalgamation of colours that is like magenta and green and a bluey purple. I guess you would call that indigo. And it was just a bit weird. And then there was, in the corner was where the box office was, and then behind the box office there was a big gaping doorway that just said The Party Room, and then there was a picture of Jack from The Incredibles just quite eerily on the inside wall. He didn't look well. And then Tom goes and buys the tickets, and then the majority of the space is taken up by just a massive confectionery desk, or like a snack bar. It wasn't just confectionery because they sold chicken nuggets, they sold burgers, they sold sausages, they sold chips. It was, I might sound completely closeted and introverted and just a big franchise city boy, but it was mesmerising, frankly. And then Tom only orders a large Coke, and he received a large Coke. He received a bucket of Coca-Cola with a little straw. Alright, and then we go to the screen and we pass all these cardboard cutouts of like movies that are coming out, and I don't remember the last time I saw a cardboard cutout in a cinema, but here we are. And then we walk into the screen, and the screen doesn't have raked seating. It has a very, very, very sort of slowly declining ramp that barely even declines at all. And then you get to your seats, and then you plonk down, and the seat doesn't go all the way up. It stops half of your back, and then you lean back, and then the seat goes back, but I don't think it's meant to, and you hit the person's knees behind you. And then there's no cup holders, so Tom's bucket is just placed firmly within his lap. God forbid he had another snack, because I don't know how he would cope. All the seats, they squeak, and it was a madness. And then we wait for the film to start, and they play the Pearl and Dean theme, which I haven't heard for a solid 15 years. And like before the film starts, the screen gets wider. You just hear like a and like the screen gets wider, and which is I don't think I've seen that before, but it was kind of cool. And then we sat down, we watched Johnny English 3, Johnny English Strikes Back. I was gonna say Strikes Again. It doesn't really matter, let's be honest. And then I'm sorry if I sound like I'm moaning or I'm whinging, but I'm just trying to get my head around the experience that I had midway through the film. And I'm probably in a bad mood because I'm remembering Johnny English 3, Johnny English Strikes Again, or Strikes Back, or I don't know. But anyway, midway through the film, I heard another film through the walls. I could hear Lady Gaga singing her heart out. I mean, God bless her, she was really giving it, but I was trying to watch Rowan Atkinson forget if he was playing Johnny English or Mr. Bean and figuring, they're the same thing. It was a weird experience and a very strange cinema that I really, really want to go back to. Because it it was quite nostalgic, actually. I sound like I'm moaning, I'm whinging. I'm not. I'm just. It was very nostalgic. It was just a very weird experience because I'm very used these days to just going to watch films at View and having that big, arguably corporate experience. With the big leather seats that are really high up and the cup holders, which doesn't seem like a prerequisite for fanciness, but apparently it is. I've seen films there, and I've been in the big leather VIP area. Courtney used to work at one, and we went to a early screening for something, and they had big leather reclining chairs. So it was a madness. And when you go to View in the Printworks, you have to go about 4 separate escalators just to get to the screens. In this, it was all ground floor. It was all, you could see every part of the cinema just when you walk in the door. You can see the box office, you can see the snack bar, you can see the screens, you can it just took me back to being a kid, and when cinemas were a magical experience of just you go every once in a while and you go and watch a film, and it's just a mad place when you're a kid. And it was a mad place when I was 22 because it was almost identical to the cinemas my mum took me to when I was growing up, and I would go again. Also maybe I wouldn't, because no cup holders, no raked seating, so if people actually wanted to see a film, you probably couldn't see it. I do want the chicken nuggets though. I do want some nugs when I'm sat watching Spider-Verse, but that's beside the point. However, I have to talk about Johnny English 3. Johnny English Strikes. Is it back or again? I don't really care. But IMDb informed me, which Johnny English is it? What's the name? I've completely misspelled Johnny English as I type it in. I've put 5 Y's. Johnny English Strikes Again. Let me tell you something about Johnny English Strikes Again. Johnny English Strikes Again is exactly the same as Johnny English 1. The first Johnny English. With John Malkovich and Natalie Imbruglia. It is exactly the same film. Plot point for plot point, beat for beat, storylines are exactly the same. All the same things happen. The movie begins with every single current agent being predisposed of for some reason, and then they have to bring in Johnny English. Johnny English then goes on the case of a international, crime syndicate superstar, pop star, Jesus Christ, Strictly on Ice. And at the same time, a big, charismatic, international businessman philanthropist befriends the English government. Spoiler alert, he's the bad guy. But no one wants to believe Johnny because everyone likes him so much. And then, blah blah blah, he gets found out exactly the same as Johnny English 1. Also, Boff is back, Johnny English 1. And then, midway through, Lady Gaga does a sing-song when she's not really supposed to. It's just because we could hear it through the wall. There was also a scene where Johnny English is just dancing to Giroud Sandstorm, but it's almost identical to the scene of Mr. Bean dancing in Mr. Bean's Holiday. But I don't know, that's beside the point. So, in conclusion, Johnny English 3 is the same as Johnny English 1. Showcase Cinemas in Gorton. A nostalgic hour and a half of pure, unadulterated madness with no cup holders. Would recommend. Okay, so this has been a very short 15-minute episode of the podcast. Just me, no Courtney. Courtney is very, very busy with some exciting things that I'm sure we'll talk about. But December's coming up, and it's the run-up to Christmas, and there will be podcasts. I can assure you there will be Christmas podcasts galore. I graduate from university for the second and most likely final time early in the month, and then from there on in, well, I don't know, the big bad world is opening up as they say. Did they say that? I don't know if they do. I don't think they do. I think I just said it, and I'm not really happy with myself for saying it. But alas, I digress. Thank you all so much for listening to this little bonus / apology mini-sode where I stream of consciousness my way into your brains about a weird cinema in some Mancunian suburb. Thank you all so much for listening. We will be back next month. It's goodbye from me, and we'll see you soon. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at Snapshot MTC. You can also find us on Facebook. Just type in Snapshot MTC and I'm sure you'll find our page. You can also follow us here on SoundCloud. iTunes is coming. And also you can email us snapshot.podcast@gmail.com. That is snapshot.podcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. I hit my hand.